A while ago, I did a video about Fixing RWBY, a fan series created by Celtic Phoenix. For the most part, it's one of my more positive videos, with even Celtic Phoenix commenting on it. Additionally, a few people made comments suggesting I do a full review of the series, which, to be fair, I had been questioning whether that was possible. While I liked the idea, it was more of a question of how I would do that. It's not like any other series I review like Toradora or Rosario Vampire. Fixing RWBY itself is a series meant to critique RWBY. It would be me critiquing a series that's critiquing another series. Again, the question is how to do that, and I think I found the right balance. For the most part, I will stick to the merits of Fixing RWBY itself, the choices Celtic Phoenix made for the series, and where it ultimately goes. I'll occasionally draw comparisons to RWBY, but I'll be treating this more as a reboot in the same way as my Ice Queendom review. By the way, check that out if you haven't yet. With all that out of the way, let's jump into Fixing RWBY Volume 1. Fixing RWBY follows the same story as RWBY, which is about 4 girls going to Beacon Academy to become huntresses to help protect the world from the Grimm. Those are Ruby Rose, the optimistic leader who's always wanted to become a huntress, White Schnee, the heir to the Schnee Dust Company, Blake Belladonna, a Faunus who left the White Fang after feeling they'd become too violent, and Yang Xiaolong, the laid-back older sister of RWBY. While the story mainly follows the same path as the original, its main draw is that it does that while also making improvements where needed. While I understand that some people dislike it, I appreciate this approach to critiquing RWBY. One of the arguments against criticizing anything is that it's one thing to critique a series, but it's another to create one. It's easy for me to say a series should focus on a character or plot point more, but it's another thing to be in the writing room and work out how the series would do that. Celtic Phoenix came along and said, okay, well here's how you do that, while also still covering the main plot points of the series. Some of them are also criticisms that I made about the series itself, such as the discrimination against the Faunus. I mentioned this in my original Fixing RWBY video, but I wanted to give it more of a focus here. As I mentioned, RWBY has faced criticism for its handling of the discrimination plot involving the Faunus. While they have characters like Blake talking about how hard it is for the Faunus, we never see that. The issue is that the series is telling us something instead of showing it. While it can be a good setup to have a character bring up issues like that, it means more when we see them mistreated. It reinforces the idea that this is happening and sometimes makes us realize it's worse than we thought. The issue is that we rarely, if ever, see that happening, to the point that we're asking if this is true. Again, VexViewer did a whole video on this topic, and I'll link it again as it goes into more detail about how much they dropped the ball with this plot point. Luckily, Fixing RWBY found a way to fix that. In Fixing RWBY Volume 1, Carter gets a bigger focus to show several times that he is racist against the Faunus. We constantly see him mistreat Velvet and does it out in the open for everyone to see. It gives us the idea that this is a normal thing in this world, and reaffirms that everything Blake told us about the Faunus being mistreated is true. It also has the benefit of giving Carter more of a purpose than just having him in John's arc and then relegating him to the background before forgetting he exists later on. Also, Carter gets his own character arc as the series goes, but I'll get into that as I cover more of the series. On top of that, we see Weiss with her own bigoted views on the Faunus as well.
To everyone's surprise, Weiss steps in to back Carden's argument. She makes it clear that his behavior is boorish, but highlights Velvet's reluctance to stand up for herself as a casebook example of Faunus traits: docile, skittish, and weak-willed.
We also get to hear why Weiss has those views on the Faunus and the White Fang.
You want to know why I despise the White Fang? Why I don't particularly trust the Faunus? They've been at war with my family for years. War, as in actual bloodshed.
While it doesn't excuse that behavior, it makes us understand her. She didn't just wake up and decide to have those views. They were a result of what she went through. It also gives Weiss more character moments for her to grow and see that way of thinking is wrong, and that she needs to be a better person. That leads to another thing I love about Fixing RWBY. The series gives all the girls more of a focus, including Yang. Again, did a whole video on this topic, but to summarize, Yang feels wasted in RWBY Volume 1. And at times it feels like if she didn't exist, nothing would change. Which isn't an issue considering she's supposed to be one of the main characters in your story. In Fixing RWBY, we see her doing more, such as showing that she's always partying, which reinforces her laid-back attitude from the original series. Besides that, we also see Yang being the protective older sister of the group, not just for RWBY, but also for Blake. In Fixing RWBY, Yang is the first one Blake tells about her past with the White Fang. This interaction makes sense because Fixing RWBY was building up the idea that Blake and Yang have been getting closer, and Blake would feel comfortable revealing something dark about her past to someone she fully trusts. Also, it makes the Bumblebee shippers happy that they're getting more moments like this. Something that still blows my mind is that RT loved this ship, but they also dropped the ball on this. Again though, all of Team RWBY get more time to have a focus on them in Fixing RWBY. While Blake and Yang do get a lot of focus, I'd argue that RWBY and Weiss are the MVPs with their own stories. RWBY still has her arc of struggling to be a leader, something Coco from Team Coffee helps her discuss, while also addressing her issues with Weiss as her teammate. In Fixing RWBY, they spend more time not getting along, and even have a sparring match, which was my favorite part of Volume 1. It reinforces the idea that these two have issues, and this could be the black belt of me talking, but sometimes having a sparring match is what two people need, as it's a chance to learn more about a person while also challenging yourself. The best part of all, though, is when they do finally make up near the end, it feels earned. Their conflict spans multiple episodes, so seeing them come together at the end feels like you've actually watched them grow as people over time, rather than just having a conflict and resolving it in an episode right after. If you want a conflict to mean something, you need to let it play out to get people invested in it. Not only does it add tension, but it also gives people a reason to come back to see how the arc will end. Overall, Fixing RWBY understands the issues of RWBY and knows not only how to fix them, but also how to add on to the series to make fans happier. Fixing RWBY gives more time for everyone, including side characters like Team Juniper, Cardin, and even Team Coffee. It gives most of them their own arcs, while also giving you a reason to be invested in all of them. And even though Celtic Phoenix does give more time to everyone, he knows that Team RWBY are the stars of the show, and dedicates the most time to them. We see them having conflicts with each other, and even with themselves. All of them end up learning over time how to improve though, and Volume 1 has them come together in the final fight to show they are becoming the team they know they can be. I also like to see the actual team together in the final fight. Just saying, if you're going to name the series RWBY, maybe it's a good idea to have more moments of the team as a whole coming together to fight the final conflict of the volume. Again, Fixing RWBY gets that, and it's just another reason why I love it, and why it brought me back to the RWBY fandom. And that was my review of Fixing RWBY, Volume 1. Similar to my Star vs. the Forces of Evil reviews, I'll be reviewing each volume separately. This time, though, it will be monthly, so see you next month when we cover Volume 2. Until then, I'm Marco Strange. Stay safe, stay strange.